Hi, my name is Felix, and this is Dennis. Originally, I was working on the project on my own, but then he came by accident, he came by and he helped me with the stuff, so we got the thing ready. What is CoinSwap? Basically, the idea is we want to trade coins between two different blockchains. Like every altcoin has its own blockchain, and what we want to do is, if you want to change, make a trade with another guy. Like for instance, you have Bitcoin and you want some Dogecoin. You usually have to go through a centralized exchange. So our idea is to create a semi-trusted exchange, and which can be decentralized. How we're going to do that? We use a Bitcoin protocol, which is called multi-signature. Who has heard of the term multi-signature? Okay. So I will quickly explain it. I had a talk some time ago, and what happens is when you have a public key, which you really should think like a lock, and Bitcoin Ledger as a locker room. You have these keys and you can close them, but you cannot open them. You need privacy for that. So a normal transaction works like this. You have some Bitcoin and you send it to a public key of Alice. Now Alice owns the Bitcoin. And for that to work, of course, you need a signature, which you can create by Bob's private key. So then Bob turned it off, and they have a little child, but the problem is that they want to give the child some money, but the child isn't there, so he has no private key yet. How are they going to do that? So even if they divorce later, before the little boy is 18 years old, when he gets his coins, well, they decide to create a multi-signature wallet. So basically what they do is they create a code of two multi-signature wallets. They take their two public keys and create like multi-signature. This means they both have to agree to money sent to that address to be spent on other addresses. You see them probably on the blockchain info. They start with a 3, not with a 1. So Bob sends a Bitcoin and Alice sends a Bitcoin, and there are two Bitcoin now. And now, after a few years, Charlie wants to throw a party, and then you need both signatures. If one signature is missing, the transaction is invalid, and Bob cannot spend money on his own, and Alice cannot spend the money on his own. We can do not 2 out of 2, but we can also do 2 out of 3. These are the wallets that are important, the 2 out of 3 wallets in our project. So, sorry for the long introduction, but so now, how does it work in practice? The user comes to our website, CoinSwap, and then he hits the start transaction. And now you see here a little trade room. The trade room closes in 20 minutes. This is important. In case we cannot agree, and I send money first, I get my money back after this 20 minutes because there's an automatic timeout. If not both parties have paid, then the one guy that has paid gets his money back. So this is a nice interface. I invite Bob, which gives me a URL I can share. A little bit tricky.
Make some noise.
So now he sees almost the same website as I do, just he can type and I'm seeing it on my screen immediately. So these are, but I cannot edit his stuff and he cannot edit my stuff. Now he puts his public key in there, this is important. And I put mine in. If I don't have one, I can automatically generate one on my own. But it would work also if you don't supply the private key, which is here. It is, you don't have to put in private key. So now you agree on the price. How much do you want to get for your Dogecoin? 200 Satoshi?
I guess.
Okay, 200 is good. So he types in 137. Okay, I'll calculate now how much that is. I don't know. Huh?
Go for 42.
42 is good. Okay. Okay. Now we both hit accept. Can you accept? Okay. And after we both hit accept, now we have two barcodes, which I can easily scan. Okay. Now I'm sending the money there with my testnet coins. And usually it should refresh in a second.
Who sends the Dogecoins?
He sends the Dogecoins. Or if anybody else wants to, go ahead. Okay, I have paid now. And if the other guy pays now, too, we generate a signature, a partly signed transaction, which uses the money spent with that multi-signature address and sends it to your destination address where you want your coins from the other chain. Is this clear? I'm not sure if anybody follows. Yeah? Not sure. Okay.
I think the important part of this concept is that you have a trust station, which organizes the change as well as that you can trade different currencies at the same time. So you don't have to trust any guy on the internet. It's always not good to trust any guy on the internet. So you have to semi-trust this software, and we will organize the rest of it.
Yes, it's important to note that we only have one public key and one private key. So, and since we need two private keys to sign this transaction to get the funds out of the multi-signature wallet, we cannot steal your money, basically, because we need either your or either Alice's or Bob's consent to do that. If, as I said before, if one of the parties fails to pay, we generate a refund transaction, and we sign that too. So you can sign it, and afterwards, it can all be done in the browser. It wasn't ready when we were doing that, but it can be done all in the browser, and everybody can set up a service like that. And basically, you don't pay any fees besides the network fees for the coin. So this is, I think, 1,000 Satoshis for Bitcoin and 1 Dogecoin for Dogecoin. Yeah, that's it about it. And thanks again to Dennis for the UI in less than a day. I did the whole signing stuff in the background and checking that the money arrived. I'm using, thanks to Bitcoin J, I don't have to download any blockchains for this stuff. So imagine you have a new coin, you can trade it like after 5 minutes with this stuff, because you only have to edit a text file with, I don't know, 5 or 10 variables. This is nice when you have only copy coins. Are there any questions, please?
What's the backend behind it? Are you using Python, Django, Java?
This is Node.js and with Koya.
We're using. Is it not yet?
Really close.
Okay, really close. We're using as a middleware Node.js. Node.js 0.11 with generators and proxies and stuff. Up on the Core.js. I don't know if you know the framework Core.js. It's the ancestor project of Express.js, the most common middleware on Node.js. We're using a Redis just to store session data. We are not using a database at all because we really want to forget about all the exchanges, all the trades. We don't store anything at all, just for the 20 minutes, then it's gone. And well, we have a transaction server based on Java with a special library.
Yeah, the special library thanks to Mike with J. It doesn't do a lot, so I'm showing you here the front end. This is basically, yeah, I now you can, if I refresh, you can see the new transactions will have, but that's the one I paid now during the demo. There it is. And what we do later is we take these transaction outputs and sign them with the Bitcoin protocol, and give you in the browser your final your co-signed redeem transaction.
Can you do that also to exchange cash into coins?
If we ask the central banks to create some crypto coins, yes, we can.
I mean, if you had access to the APIs to just see a transaction?
I'm not sure yet. Maybe it can be done, sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's difficult because there's no like APIs for banks, or at least no.
Yeah, there's a project to do allow you to prove that you made a wire transfer. So you could do a trade like this where you have a third-party auditor who checks that whether a wire transfer was actually made or not. Then you can do a trade between two users. Just one guy says a wire transfer and another guy sends bitcoins.
Okay.
And the mediator is only involved if something goes wrong.
That would be the solution, yeah. Thanks.
Any other questions?